Hello, very good morning to my live streaming, and let's get started for today's. So, yesterday we were learning, just let me remind all of those things here so that we can see where we are. First thing, what we learn, uh, how to speak, or we don't, I don't know, speak. I don't know how to speak. So this was the concept. Then we learn about how do we know if we know something. Then we get to know that in order to know something, we should be able to ask right question. After knowing this, we were learning we can explain the things using some points, using below points. I'll say below points because I don't remember exactly what was those points. So let's just remind, let's just ask. And as I yesterday told everyone that I'm going to work on these, I didn't get that much chance, but I'll try today to make things very clear, and we'll try to create a video on this so that you can see, and you can like might be it will help, it will be helpful. So let's see how it goes. So first of all, I'll open my Super Whisper so that I can talk to ChatGPT, and based on that, it will give us answer. And so, first of all, everyone, uh, first of all, can you please just remind me or give me summary what we did yesterday so that I can get to know and we can work together to find out where we were, and we can just make it so clear so that we will be on correct thing. So this is I'm telling to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will give me answer like where we were. So I'm using basically one session only. We call it as session, and I'm using that session so that ChatGPT can remember whatever we had yesterday. Actually, I've been using ChatGPT for a long time, and what ChatGPT like literally know most of the things about me, like who I am, what I do, like most of the things I can say, because somehow in ChatGPT it has information about me, and it is really helpful for me to ask anything because he knows most of the things about me. So it helps me to do this most of the things. That's like very important. Let me tell you one thing here. If we have lots of information, then we will be able to take decision very easily. So that is what ChatGPT is doing for me. So yesterday, whatever we've learned, or it's not only about yesterday, whatever we learned till now that we are going to see. Absolutely, Rehan. See how it is giving me answer. I'll give you a clear, structured summary of what we did yesterday without adding anything new. This is just to re-anchor you, so we are aligned and moving in the right direction. So that's the theme. And what is it? What we were trying to solve? The original problem. You started with this feeling. I know things deeply, but when I try to explain them, I mix things up or go blank. Now, this happen even without fear, even with people you know, even when you clearly understand the topic. That was the problem. So the real question became, why does understanding not translate into clear explanation? So basically we were trying to find out why we are not able to explain whatever we know. That was the problem. No, we were trying to solve. So the real question became, why does understanding not translate into clear explanation? Right now also, as you can see, there are most of the time I just mixed up the things, so many things. Like I'm not staying on the point what I'm trying to say or something. I just Grayson Snyder. Hey, hello, SUP. I don't know the really meaning of it, but you can just let me know. SUP. Let me search. I just want to show as I am exactly you. Like there are lots of things that I don't know. I'll find out the word SUP. What does take, drink, sips or spoonful as a B sip of liquid? Might be what the WH what? Whatever you are saying, can you please just explain it or uh, do a backflip? Oh man, why? Do a backflip. Yeah, I'm gonna do it in my whatever I'm doing. Let's see how it goes. By the way, very welcome to my YouTube channel here, or welcome to my live streaming where I'm trying to solve my own problems. And if you have those problems, you can also like we can discuss the thing, and based on that, we can just try to solve your as well as mine problem. So here earlier what I was doing basically sometimes what happens when we are getting something and not able to explain that particular thing why it happens. So that is what I was trying to find out. So we find out like why it happens basically. So here like the remind summary of whatever we did yesterday is what we were trying to solve. I know things deeply, but when I try to explain them, I mix things up or go blank. That was the basic question for us. Actually, the problem. This happens even without fear, even with people you know, even when you clearly understand the topic. So, this is the thing. So, the real question becomes, why does understanding not translate into clear explanation? So it is saying that if we really do know about the things, then why it becomes a good explanation? And what was the like what we realized from this, that knowing something and explaining something are two different skills. So we get to know, let's say if I know something, that doesn't mean I will be able to explain that very clearly. It is a separate skill. If I know this skill, then I will be able to explain whatever I have learned. But it doesn't mean that if I'm learning something, I should be able to explain that. Because if I have that skill, then only I'll be able to do that. Otherwise, if I don't have that skill, then I won't be able to explain. Hi, Queen. Hi, hi. Actually, I'm starting this my live streaming. I mean, I'm new here, completely new here, and I don't know most of the things. I'm just trying to solve myself, trying to make myself so much comfortable. That is why I'm doing this live streaming. Besides that, let me go back to my point where I was. And unfortunately, my light is literally going and coming, like the power, electricity. And again, let me tell you, there are lots of things that I really don't know how to do, but I'm just trying to figuring it out and will make things work. Literally, I'll make it work, but let's see how it goes. And it's very bad in between my live streaming. The dance queen. Okay. Hi, the dance queen. In between it just goes. So let me go back to what I was, where I was actually. So that we get to know that if we know something, that doesn't mean we should be able to explain that. That was the big realization that we had. So here, knowing something and explaining something are two different skills. You mostly learn by doing. Your understanding lives as experience patterns. Us learn by doing. Your understanding lives as experience patterns, intuitions. It does not automatically exist as a structured sentence. So explanation failure is not equals to lack of understanding. So whenever we are learning something, that doesn't mean we are going to explain it. And if we are not able to explain that concept, then it doesn't mean that we didn't know the things. And the second realization that we had yesterday, we discovered that confusion happens because you were asking the same question for everything. Do I really know these? No, but not everything should be tested the same way. So we introduced a classified step. Sorry for my sneezing. I just got confused that my live streaming was going superb, and when some people sent me message at the time, I felt like, oh man, what is going on? Or the thing, like I was just trying to make myself easy in the sense I was getting overwhelmed, I can say, by seeing people in my live streaming. So whenever you see people in live streaming at the time, it just goes very different in the sense. Sometimes we are not able to explain the things, but anyway, that's a different thing. I'll keep continue doing the things whatever I'm doing, and I'll try to find out the way so that I can make myself better. Grayson Snyder, do a backflip. By the way, it is very good experience. I can feel, I can say. So the key framework. The second big realization that we discovered that confusion happens because you were asking the same question for everything. Do I really know these? But not everything should be tested the same way. So we introduced a classified classification step. So what happens now? Let's say if I know something and if I'm asking wrong question, then it doesn't mean that we don't know that. We should be able to ask the correct question for knowing the things, or if we know it or not. Let's say for laptop, if I'm asking, do I really know laptop? What does it mean? But we do know a laptop by using it. Basically, we are using it. We haven't created it, or it is not kind of skill or concept. It is an object, so we know by object. So we will be able to give answer as per. So we should be able to classify or differentiate between object, skills, and concept. And not everything should be tested the same way. So we introduce a classification step. The key framework we build, before judging your understanding, you must first ask what kind of things is this. So let's say if we are going to ask something, if we know about it or not, at the time we should be able to ask the correct question, like what kind of thing is this. Then only we will be able to get what it is, and based on that we can explain the things. Example: laptop, phone, chair. You know them by using, predicting, fixing. You do not need to define them. You do not need to define them to know them. Skills: example: driving, coding, speaking. You know them by doing, adapting, recovering. Explanation is optional. Concept: example: confidence, learning, communication. These are known by explaining how they work. Explanation, test, understanding. Here, your laptop confusion happened because you tested an object with a concept style question. So what happens whenever we are going to ask question and we mismatch the question, then for that particular question we will not be able to give answer because we are asking the wrong question, and for wrong question now we are going to give an answer. So before asking question we should know what kind of thing is this, and based on that we will be able to ask the answer if it is skill, concept or object. And if it is object, based on that we will be able to give answer. If it is concept we can explain it. If it is a skill we can like do it or adapt it or recover it. Explanation, like we can explain it but it's kind of optional. The third big realization, this was huge, you clarified that concepts should never be explained by definition. So whatever of concepts we know, uh, we shouldn't like it should never be explained by definition. So let's try to figure it out. I also don't understand it exactly what it is, but let's see. They should be explained sounds like loudspeaker at Walmart. Okay, no problem. They should be explained using situation, cause, effect, examples. That's why definition felt empty to you. And now I'm feeling very nervous, I guess. I don't know why, because I'm seeing lots of comments. And let's see how it goes and how the thing will work. I'm just trying it. I just wanted to try it and I'm trying it. Now that's why definition felt empty to you. The universal explanation system we built. To explain anything, object, skill or concept, you only need five things. What problem does it solve? Where is it used? Context. How does it work at high level? Team says. Sounds like loudspeaker at Walmart. I guess people are coming from out of Twimsits. Whatever it is. The universal explanation system was built to explain anything, object, skill, or concept. You only need five things. What problem does it solve? Where it is used? How does it work at a high level? One real life example, one boundary. And so we should memorize it so that we can explain the things. Might be that is not good. He might be right. Sounds like loudspeaker at Walmart. If he's saying like this, then might be there's some fault in my voice. I'll say, yeah, it sounds not good, but I'm gonna buy a new microphone and let's see how it works. But I'm gonna try it out. Anyway, that's amazing. Thank you for your feedback. I really want to experience this now. Hmm. To explain anything, object, skill, or concept, you only need five things. I will memorize it. Let me write it down so that we can remember it or not. In order to explain a concept, skill, or object, we should know below things, below points. I'm just thinking that what if those people who are not doing, who are just randomly doing something, for them there are lots of people who are watching. 75 they are. So can't it be for live streaming because I'm doing something useful here. For me at least, not even if it's for you, but at least for me. And by seeing me, there will be some people who can watch it and gonna get good things. But I just want to try it out. I'm very excited about new things that is going to come. But anyway, I'm gonna write it down in another. Let's write it down in allo points. Not allo actually, it is not good looking. Hmm, let's write it down. Hindi's point. 79. I don't understand why the views are going high and low and and uh, and anyway. So what we were, where we were actually. Let me first of all write it down. In order to explain, we should know about these things. What problem does it solve? Does it solve? Where it is used? How does it work at high level? How does it work at high level? One real life example. One oh life humble and one boundary. One boundary. One boundary. These are the things that we should know if we really want to explain. So let's see, these became your stable explanations fine. The most important takeaways. Core sentence. You ended with this understanding. Understanding is internal. Explaining is selecting and ordering. And the rule to remember objects, use skills, do concepts, explain how they work. Where we are right now, you are now clear that you do understand and many things, no longer doubting your intelligence or clarity, working on building reliable way to explain. We are not fixing speaking, we are building structure before speaking. What we were about to do next, from here, the natural next step here, practice explaining one concept using the five steps fine. Apply this to your career story. Create a separate, repeatable format for live shorts and posts. create a repeatable format for lives, shorts, and posts. If you want, next we can pick one concept, redunds, and explain it together, or build 1 minute explanation template you can reuse everywhere. Just tell me how you want to continue. Let me write it down how I want to continue. Pick one concept and let's try to explain it. How does it work, or let's find out how the thing will work for this. 80. Oh man. Perfect. We'll do this slowly, cleanly, and practically. Yeah, exactly the way you need it. We will pick one concept and fully explain how it works using the system we already built. No theory overload, no jumping. Concept we will use confidence. We are choosing this because it tightly connects to your speaking experience. Step 1. Identify the type, important anchor. Confidence is a concept, not an object or skill. So we test it by explaining how it works, not by using or doing it. Step 2. Use the 5 part explanation of spine. This is the exact structure you should always follow. Now, what problem does confidence exist to explain? Why can the same person perform very well in one situation and freeze or struggle in another? Now, that's the problem confidence explains. Already, now this should feel relatable. Now, where does confidence shows up? Confidence shows up in speaking, work, interviews, learning, decision making, social situations. So, confidence is context dependent, not universal. How does confidence work? Here is the simple working model. Confidence increases when familiarity plus positive feedback are present. Confidence decreases when uncertainty and negative feedback increases. That's it. No complexity. Confidence is not a personality trait, it's a response to condition. One real example, you may feel confident coding alone because you have done it many times. Now, you get immediate feedback, code works, but when explaining the same thing in front of people, the context is new. Feedback is unclear, so confidence drops. Even though understanding hasn't changed. And this example connects directly to your life. One boundary. Confidence is not arrogance, confidence is not constant, confidence is not proof of competence. This prevents misunderstanding. Put it all together. Here is how it sounds when spoken naturally. Confidence explains why the same person can perform well in some situation and struggle in others. Changes based on context. When familiarity and positive feedback are high, confidence increases. When uncertainty and unclear feedback are high, confidence drops. That's why someone can be confident doing a task alone but hesitate when explaining it publicly. So confidence isn't fixed; it's situational. That is a complete explanation, no definition, no memorization. How you know you really stand confidence now? You know you can now predict when confidence will drop. Explain why it changes. Apply it to speaking, work, learning. Separate confidence from competence. That means you understand the concept. The most important thing to notice for your growth, you didn't need reading books, big words, long theory. You only need a structure, one working model, one example. Log this sentence into your mind. Concepts are explained by how they work, not by what they mean. If you want next, we can explain learning, explain communication, explain internal clarity versus external expression or practice. You explaining one concept, and I'll help you refine it. Tell me what you want to do next. So we are going to ask one question, that whatever he explained, how do we believe that if it's right, or how do we will believe that if it will work. So whatever the structure you gave us for explaining concept, skill, object, how we will get to know if it will really work in every situation, or it is valid things that we have. Now how I can get to know how it will affect, like I just want to know about this. It could happen like there could be another or other no, structure that can work very effectively. I just want to know about it. Walmart. SUV. Oh, they are. So where we were. This is very mature question. You are no longer asking how to explain. You are asking how do I know this structure is actually valid, reliable, not just one temporary framework. Let's answer that calmly and logically and without hype. Short answer. Anchor this first. This structure is not the structure. It is the best structure that works in most situations, and you validate it by observing its effects, not by believing in it. Now let's unpack that properly. How do we judge whether a structure works? The structure is not validated by theory; it is validated by outcomes. So instead of asking, "Is this the best structure?" ask, "What changes when I use it?" There are four observable signals that tell you whether a structure is working. The four signals that this structure is working, you stop going blind. If before speaking you ask what problem, what context, how it works, one example, one boundary, and your mind doesn't freeze, the structure is doing its job. A working structure reduces cognitive load. That's correct signal. You know where you are while speaking. Without structure, you feel I'm lost mid sentence. With structure, you feel I'm explaining how it works. Or now I'm giving an example. That internal orientation is a huge indicator of validity. Signal 3. Listeners interrupt less and nod more. You will notice fewer clarification questions, less confusion, more that makes sense. You don't need praise, comprehension is the signal. Signal 4. You can stop early and still be understood. No, strong structure lets you pause, stop midway, resume later. If people still get it, the structure is holding. Why this structure works in most situations? Because it is not content specific. It mirrors how human understanding works. Why should I care? Problem. Where does this apply? Context. What's going on underneath, how it works, can I see it, example, what should I now not assume, boundary. Now, this sequence matches now how the brain builds meaning. Now, that's why it works across objects, skills, concepts, technical topics, personal stories. Now, does this mean other structure don't work? No. And this is not important. This is important. There are many valid structure, for example, story based, beginning structure, struggle, resolution, teaching based, definition, breakdown, exercise, persuasion based, problem, pain, solution, proof. But here is the key insight, a different structure optimized for different goals. Your current goal is clarity, reduced confusion, stability while speaking. For that goal, this structure is optimal. You are not trying to entertain, sell, impress, lecture, so you don't need complex framework. How you should treat this structure, very important. Don't treat it as a rule, a belief, something to defend. Treat it as a tool, a default starting point. Use it like this: if I don't know how to explain something, I start here. Later, once clarity is stable, you can layer other structure on top. How to test it yourself? This is the real answer. Here is a simple experiment that you can run for the next few explanation, live, short or conversation. Write five bullets: problem, context, how it works, example, and boundary. Speak using only those bullets. Observe your mental state, listener reaction, your ability to pause and resume. If clarity improves, structure is valid for you. That proves structure is valid for you. That's the only proof that matters. The most important meta understanding: read slowly. No structure is universally true. A structure is useful if it reduces friction between your thinking and your speaking. Okay, this one does that for you right now. Final grounding sentence. Now, I don't need the perfect structure. I need a stable one that works under uncertainty. That's exactly what we built. If you want, next we can compare this with one another other structure, so you see the difference. Test it on a complex topic or design structure which rule when to change frameworks. Just tell me how you want to continue. So let's figure it out what we can get so that we can explain the things very easily. I want something using which I can explain the things, and whoever is listening, they can get it very easily. They shouldn't be get overwhelmed. What I'm trying to make them understand, what I'm really making things. It shouldn't happen like that. And whatever we are explaining, it should have more things in it. More things in it in the sense it should be simple, but at the same time, it should explain what it means. It should make sense when we are speaking of it and another people can are listening about it. Then it should make sense completely. Then only it will work. Otherwise, I don't think that it will work correctly. So do as per it. As well as you can scrape websites or give me a prompt. Using that prompt, I can go on Perplexity, which basically works on websites, different websites, and can get the information, and that perplexity can let me know. So do as per needed. So right now we have given these prompt, but in informal slang greeting. In short, for WhatsApp, and is commonly used in casual chat or text. Now, what it usually means, depending on context, it can mean hello, hi, what's going on, anything new, how you can reply, simple. Actually, someone said me SUP, so I just got confused what he was trying to mean or she was trying to mean. So, okay, I'll get to know. So, as many as mistake we are going to do, we are going to learn, and we are going to be boom. Now, what it is saying, let's see. Absolutely, and I hear you clearly. You want a simple, reliable explanation framework that makes things easy to understand for listeners, doesn't overwhelm them, share the core meaning, doesn't feel shallow or confusing, works every time, no matter what you are explaining. Hello, hi. And you asked again my this You can chat if you are new here, and welcome to my live streaming where we try to solve the problem on live streaming of ours. So right now I'm just working on explaining the things because I really want to have explanation skill so that I can explain very well to you or whoever is listening. And you ask if there is something like that. Yes, there is, and I give it to you in a way you can use immediately. Yes, the clear explanation framework. Now, this is a super simple structure you can use to explain anything concept, skill, object, story. So, your audience always understand it. Every explanation should include only these six parts. No, no more, no less. No, first hook, why this matters. Start with why the listener should care. Example, how sometimes you understand something but can't explain it clearly. That's what I am talking about today. So, whenever we are going to start our explanation, we should be able to make them understand that why we are starting it or why we have this particular session. How sometimes you understand something but can't explain it clearly. That's what I am talking about today. This immediately grabs attention. What it is? Plain language. Explain what the things is, but in simple language, not a textbook definition. Example: confidence. Confidence is how sure you feel about acting in a situation. Not confidence is a psychological state reflected in the efficiency. This is simple, understandable. Example: confidence is how sure you feel about acting in a situation. That's correcting actually. Now, how it works? Here you answer. Now, what causes this? Now, what changes it? Changes it. What makes it stronger or weaker? For confidence, it increases when you have done something before and feedback feels positive. Now, it drops when the situation feels new or feedback is uncertain. You know how sometimes you understand something but can't explain it clearly. That's what I'm talking about today. Okay, confidence is a psychological state reflected in the self efficiency, simple, understandable. How it works. Here you answer what causes this, what changes it, what makes it stronger or weaker. For confidence, it increases when you have done something before and feedback feels positive. It drops when the situation feels new or feedback is uncertain. This gives meaning, not just words. One simple example, only one example per explanation. This is critical. Example: you might be confident coding alone but hesitate when explaining the same idea on camera. This makes the concept real. One boundary, what it's not. Now, this prevents misunderstanding. Example: confidence is not the same as arrogance. At the moment, like, I don't have very much good connection, I guess, because of which there are lots of things that is happening. But anyway, we'll try to continue it and we'll try to find out one boundary what it's not, and this prevents misunderstanding. Example: confidence is not the same arrogance. This helps the listener not misinterpret the concept. I have just updated the bitrate because I was getting some issue while having this live streaming. But updated now and let's see how it works. Bottom line takeaways. Finish with one meaningful conclusion. Example. So confidence isn't fixed. It's a response to context and experience. This makes the listener feel complete. Now, why this framework works? Now, this structure align with how the brain naturally builds understanding, minimize overload and confusion, keeps explanation short, powerful and easy, works for concepts, skills, object, personal stories, technical explanation. Now, how you can practice it? Before you speak, fill this mental checklist. Hook. What is it? How it works? One example, one boundary takeaway. Say it loud once in that order. It will organize your brain before speaking. Hook, what it is, how it works. One example, one boundary takeaway. Example using this framework. Let's take learning by doing. Hook. Ever read something 100 times but still couldn't use it? You are not alone. What it is, learning by doing means you learn something by practicing it, not just reading or hearing about it. How it works. When you do something, you get feedback and adjust. That makes understanding deeper. Example, you might read coding tutorials, but only truly understand when you build a small project. Boundary. It doesn't mean theory is useless. It's just not enough on its own. Takeaway. Real understanding comes from action, not just words. That is complete and clear. One rule to avoid overwhelm. Use only one example and one boundary. More than that, your audience starts to lose focus. Clarity, quantity. For you. Okay, that's the thing. So, did we find our problem and solution? Are we completed about it? Or is there anything that we can have to explore? Can you please just let me know about it? This is the right closing question to ask. Let me answer it clearly, calmly, and honestly without exaggeration. Exaggeration? In short answer, yes, we have correctly identified your core problem and built a solid, usable solution. And no, you're not done. No, but you are no longer confused or stuck. You have moved from confusion, clarity. Did we find a real problem? Yes, very clearly. Your problem is not lack of intelligence, lack of knowledge, lack of confidence, lack of speaking ability. A real problem was your understanding this internally by doing, but you didn't have a stable way to externalize that understanding for other people without overwhelming them. More precisely, you were judging your understanding using the wrong tests. You were trying to explain without selection or ordering system. Your mind froze because everything felt important at once. That is now fully understood. Did we find real solution? Yes, and an appropriate one for your stage. We did not look for the perfect explanation system, a complicated theory, heavy framework, something you need to memorize for months. Instead, we built a classification system so you never ask the wrong question again. Object, use, predict, fix it. Skill to adapt, recover. Concept, explain how it works. A stable explanation is fine. So listeners don't get overwhelmed. Why it matters, what it is, how it works. One example, one boundary, one takeaway. This solves going blank, mixing ideas or explaining, losing the listeners. Now, what is a real situation, not a motivation? Now, are we completed? No, and that's a good thing. You are not completed, but you are out of the danger zone. Think of it like earlier you didn't know what was wrong. Now you know what's wrong and how to handle it. Now that's the difference between being stuck. Now being on a path. Now what is left to explore important. Now there are Three natural next layer, not a problem. Layers. Layer one. Fluency with the structure. You need repetition so it becomes automatic. Explaining without consciously thinking of steps. Feeling relaxed while using it. This comes from practice, not more theory. Layer 2, adapting to audience. Layer. Later you will learn when to shorten, when to expand, when to switch to story mode. But only after the base is stable. Layer 3, style and personality, much later. Your personal way of explaining, your voice, your rhythm, this should not be rushed. A very important grounding truth. Read slowly. You didn't have a speaking problem. You had a structure before speaking problem. That the problem is now solved. Now what remains is practice and refine and not confusion. What I would recommend you do next for the next few days, use this structure in short, use it in lives, use it in a casual conversation. Do not try to improve it at, just use it. Clarity comes from use, not perfection. Final answer to your question. We found the correct problem. We built a valid, stable solution. You are not done, but you are no longer lost. Now, what is the left is practice and not exploration. You are on the right things now. If you want, next we can practice three explanation together. Done. Okay, it make completely sense. But before going further, I would like to ask one question. Let's say if I'm talking to someone and I want to have good conversation with that person. So will it apply there as well, or do we need to follow something else? Can you please explain it? So right now, like as we are discussing here, and in that discussion, do we need to implement this structure, or is it a different thing? That we really want to know here, because I am getting confused about it. This is very important question, and I'm glad you asked it before moving further. ChatGPT is saying that. Short answer first. No, you should not use the same explanation structure in a normal conversation. But yes, the thinking principles still apply. Let me explain this clearly with example so you don't accidentally overstructure your conversation. Conversation and explanation are different modes. Explanation mode used when teaching, presenting, going live, explaining a concept, creating a content. Here, you lead, you structure, you reduce confusion for many listeners. This is where the clear five-step structure works. Conversation mode. What you are asking about, used when talking one to one, casual discussion, relationship building, interviews, meetings. Here, you co create meaning. You respond more than you lead. Structure must be light and invisible. If you use full structure here, it will feel heavy, lecture like, artificial. So we need something else. Not make conversation good. A good conversation is not about explaining well, it's about flow, presence, mutual understanding, feeling heard. So the rule changes. The simple conversation rule. In a conversation, your job is not to explain clearly, your job is to help the other person think clearly. This changes everything. The conversation framework you should use very simple. Instead of five-step explanation structure, use this three word. Look, the listen, mirror, add look. This is all you need. Listen, don't prepare your reply, don't structure, just understand their meaning. Example, they say, I feel stuck at work. Mirror, you say, so it feels like you are putting effort in but not seeing movement. This does two things: make them feel understand, clarifies their own thoughts, add one small contribution. Only after mirroring you add a thought, a question, an experience. Example, I have felt something similar when I wasn't sure what the next step was. Then you go back to listen. How this connects to your original problem. Earlier, your problem was trying to say everything at once. Conversation prevent that naturally if you let other person lead, only add one thing at a time. This is why conversation feel easier than presentation. Now, what if you need to explain something inside a conversation? This is the tricky part. If the other person asks, "Can you explain that?" Then switch briefly to mini explanation mode. Use only 2 to 3 steps, not all five. Example: basically the issue is X. It works like Y. That's why Z happens. Very important warning. Don't try sound smart, you full explanation, finish your entire thought, conversation dive in one person monologues. For example, bad or overstructured. One problem is, the context is, the mechanism is. Feels like a lecture. Good conversation, yeah. That happens when the situation changes. What part feels harder for you? Okay. One sentence to remember. Explain to teach, listen to connect. The final answer to your question. The thinking principle still apply. The full explanation structure does not. Conversation, it light structure presence. You now know when to use a word. That's maturity. If want, this is asking the next what we need to do. But before asking that, I really want to have last one question. Let's try to practice our mini structure or the structure that you gave me to explain things so that the audience or whoever is listening they can listen me very carefully and get the things whatever I want. So let's try to do that first. First tell me how many days I can do it or how many times I can do it so that I can get it subconsciously. Tell me first that I'll try to explain it again and again. I'll try to find things, we'll try to explain that, and we'll read like blah 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 things I will do, and let's see how it goes. And after that, we can go further. I'll use the same thread for learning this. Plus, if is there any books that I can read that can really help me to grow in explanation or explaining the things, that will be really helpful for me. So give me these things. This is very good stopping and grounding point. You are now asking for practice plan, timeline, reinforcements, not more theory. That's exactly what you need. I'll answer in three parts very clearly. How long, how often to practice so it becomes subconscious. Now, simply daily practice plan, no overload. Books that will genuinely help you explain better. Not fluffy. No, no scraping, no perplexity needed here. Yeah, this is about skill wiring, not information. Part 1. How long does it take to internalize this subconsciously? The honest answer, 14 to 21 days of consistent small practice is enough for this structure to become automatic for you. Not months, not years, but only if you practice correctly. Okay? Frequency that works best. Now, once per day, twice per day, each practice 5 to 10 minutes, never more than 15, no 5, because explanation is a thinking habit, not a memory task. Part 2, the exact practice plan, simple and repeatable. This is the only plan you need, don't add more. Daily practice structure 10 minutes, do not be complex, okay? Use five step explanations, fine, 5 minutes, right only, okay? Don't aim for perfection, aim for completion. Step, speak it once 2 to 3 minutes. Speak it slowly. Pause between steps. Don't correct yourself. You are training flow, not polish. Never reflection question. Did this feel clear? And then before that's it. No judging. Now how many times per day? No, once is enough. Twice if you are doing YouTube lives. More than that, burnout. Part 3. What not to do. Don't read 10 frameworks, don't switch structure every day, don't try to sound smart, or don't explain everything. Yeah, your goal right now, stability or brilliance. For books that will actually help you explain better, I'll only recommend books that align with how you think. Cheap health made to stick. I'll find out this book. Why it help you teaches why some explanation land and other don't. Focuses on simplicity. An example, very practical. This is your first book for explanation clarity. The art of explanation, Lee Lever. Why it helps you exactly about explaining complex things. No academic language resonate, and these are the. So right now, what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna read these three books, I'll try to finish as much as possible. As I'll try to finish it as soon as possible. Sorry, and let's see how things work for me as well as for you. And I'll try to create long videos as well as shorts based on this, whatever we discussed, whatever we learned on live streaming. And let's see how it works for you as well, if you are able to get it or not. And by the way, I'm enjoying it. There are some of the comments because of which I got overwhelmed or got nervous. Like, I don't know if it is positive or not, but I'm taking it in that way. But with these, I'll get used to it, or I'll get myself more confidence. And let's see how it works. Sounds like a loudspeaker at Walmart. So might be it's kind of feedback for me. There was one another chat that came do a black backflip. So for this is very irrelevant, or like it is not related to our context. So when I see, I got that, oh, why it is asking like this question, or so why it is asking me to do this, but we are doing something else. So it just make kind of nervousness. But with these lives every day, I'm gonna get better. I do know about it, and that's it for this particular live. Thank you very much if you are watching it, and see you tomorrow or in another video. Bye bye. I'm gonna end it live.